But I'll be as brief as possible. So on Rusk Sunday, what do? We try and give you an idea of our focus areas, where we're heading this year, and also a lot of logistics. Part of where we're going includes logistics. So if we're heading from here to Cape Town, you know that at some stage you're going to go past Mossel Bay, you're going to go past Petra SA, you're going to go through a couple of towns, Caledon, etc. You have to slow down in Caledon, there's that 80 section and so on. And so there's all of these logistics on the journey. So I want to share some of those things to just keep everyone in the loop. But let's start with our focus. I'm going to be moving quite quickly, so you'll need to, in a sense, pay attention. Well, I trust you always pay attention. But this here, as you probably picked up from the start of our sermons, well, last week in any event, I really want to start off with a renewed focus on Jesus and the gospel. So after we've had coffee this morning, we'll come back, and I want to share something about remembering the gospel. So remember that. So there'll be a greater focus on the gospel so that I want to go beyond us simply understanding the gospel, but actually to a place where we are internalizing the gospel. Not just knowing the gospel, but that we're actually living the gospel. Going beyond being able to share the gospel even and lead somebody else to Christ, but actually actively, intentionally, daily living this great gospel of Jesus Christ. And then 3 other areas, focus areas for the year. Constantly we want to look at the evening service. We also want to look at the integration between Liberty Church and Grace Hill College. At the moment it still feels like there's 2 streams running parallel, sometimes converging, crisscrossing. We want to really actively pursue ways of bringing these 2 streams together and flowing as one in the city so that we can be more effective. And then lastly, also our building project will be a focus, a continuous focus for the year. Okay, focus-wise, that's probably it for the moment. And then some of the logistics and the how-tos, in a sense. The first one is that the wonderful month of February is Fasting February. Okay, I didn't actually anticipate a lot of amens and clapping, but it's okay. Fasting February. We're going to fast corporately, and so firstly we need to ask ourselves, so why would we do this? And then how are we going to do this? But I'll start with the how. So we would encourage you. So firstly, this is not prescriptive. We're not going to enforce it. We're not going to come around to your house and check your blood sugar levels. But we would suggest that we start off with at least a 3-day water fast. Thereafter, we move on to a 7-day Daniel's fast. If you're not too sure what that's all about, let's discuss that in the life groups this week. And thereafter, so that takes us to the 10th of February, thereafter, fasting something that is special to you. So whether that be coffee, or bread, or chocolates, or media, or series, or social media, anything that will bring your focus back to God, and anything that will carve out some time in your day to spend in prayer with God. All right, so that's the how. The what are we going to be fasting for? So again, we don't want to be too prescriptive, but we want to give some form of guidelines. Firstly, I think one thing that we should always be pushing into is more of the presence of God, more of the presence of the Holy Spirit in our lives, firstly as individuals, in our personal life and ministry, but also in our corporate meetings. So that's one of the aspects. And then growth as a local body, growth in liberty, both from seeing people saved, and we believe as we preach the gospel, as we give the gospel in the name of Jesus airtime, we will see more people coming to the Lord, coming to salvation. But then also for the return of what we would call prodigals, whether they're prodigals from Liberty or from elsewhere in the city or from elsewhere in the country, as people flock to George, people that will be coming in and joining us. So growth within Liberty itself. We also want to fast for growth and a change in a greater vibe and just a greater momentum in the evening service. So that's also part of the reason why we'll be fasting. Then obviously you can see these things are referring back to the focus. If that's our focus and we're fasting, surely we should be fasting for the things we're focusing on. It just makes sense. Okay, so then Grace Hill. We're going to be fasting for that more effective interaction and integration, as we mentioned, between Liberty and Grace Hill. We want to fast and wait on God for a strategic connection between regular strategic connections between Liberty and the parents of the children in Grace Hill. We also want to fast for the land acquisition. We've hit a bit of a speed bump in the process there with regards to the access to the property. And then we want to pray and fast for numerical growth in the school, especially in some of the grades. And we'll give you more information on that as we go along. Then obviously, one would be fasting for your own personal needs. Your personal needs, you as a couple, you as a family. And then also perhaps for those within your life group or your sphere of influence, your friends that you know might be going through a tough time, you'll be fasting for that specific instance. And then also corporately, lastly, we want to be fasting for the needs of our country. We're living in a beautiful, magnificent country, and we have been called to this place. Acts 17:26, it's a guess. I think Acts 17:26 says that God has called us to the specific places and the exact times where we should live. The exact times, the exact seasons, and the exact places where we should live. So we don't live here by coincidence. We think, or you might think, that you've just moved down because of crime or this or that reason, but it's actually because God had preordained this for you to be here at this time and during this season. And so we are praying for our nation, things like the economy, education, etc. And so what we'll do is once a week we'll use our broadcast, our WhatsApp broadcast. So if you're not on it, make sure that you get onto it. And we'll send out a message for that week, and we'll break it down into this is what we're fasting for during this week. All right, and then on the Tuesday evening, 5:30 on a Tuesday evening, every evening for the month of February, we'll get together here and we'll be praying together on the Tuesday evenings. Okay, we'll ask the life groups just to mention some of these things again, but then also we'll send out the broadcast, so you'll know exactly what to pray for during your fasting time for the month of February. It has to be, the fasting and prayer always go hand in hand. Fasting is not a crash fast after, or a crash diet after the Christmas season. That's not the point of it. So, prayer and fasting. And when I say the month of February, please note that it starts on Wednesday, this month of February. Okay, just thought I'd mention that. Okay, moving on to life groups. We want to thank the life groups for your effort, especially the life group leaders, your commitment and effort during last year. We've had a beautiful year of growth in the life groups, and that was excellent to see. And this year, we'll see more growth and more life groups starting up. We're only in January still, but we've already had the first change in life groups. Isak and Natasha has handed over, and they've handed over to David and Vida, and they found themselves to week 1 being on duty this morning with their life group, and they've done brilliantly well. So that's exciting. And then there's a number of life groups with some space. In other words, you can join these life groups. There's a number of those that are full, we closed. And I'm going to ask these guys just to stand as I mention your name. Mav and Amora, won't you guys stand and stay standing? And Andre and Janine, and then Adrian and Nadine, or Adrian on behalf of Adrian and Nadine, Pierre and Karin, and Ursula. These are currently the guys leading life groups that have space in their groups. All right, so what you need to now do is make a note of who they are. And then when we're having coffee on that side, you can quickly go and check with them where it is that they meet so that you can connect with them. But quite briefly, these guys are in Denneoord, Boerdorp, that section. For a bit of a further drive, if you like the scenic route, Mervyn Amora, Okay. Grootbak to Mossel Bay, Calitzdorp, and and Caledon. Ursula, you'll be at Pine Lodge, that side. Heather Park. Okay. Thank you, guys. So if you are at all close, sorry, Adrian? 2 blocks from here. So if you're central, 2 blocks from here to Heather Park to to the Grootbak, Mossel Bay area. Okay, there are a number of other life groups, but they are not taking in any new members at the moment. If we find that these are also filling up, we have at least 3 to 4 more life group leaders chomping at the bit to kick off and to start new life groups. So we're just waiting for these to bulk up, and then we're starting and rolling out new life groups as well. So that's exciting. Some of the stuff that will be happening in the life groups will be some training and equipping within the life group. You'll remember that last year we did the giftings course internally within the life groups. So this year we'll do something similar, but a different course will be running. And so, watch that space, something that will happen within the life group. But then we also want to do training and equipping where not everyone in the life group might need that specific equipping. And so then we're going to ask the life group leaders to release those that would want to come to the training time for 4 to 6 weeks. And it will probably only happen once in the year. And that will happen, the training will then happen here on a Thursday evening. And we will probably be presenting a personal finance course during that time, starting with things as basic as personal budgeting and running through up to investments, retirement, etc. Okay, really important. If you're thinking, but my finances are slightly messy, then that's exactly why we're presenting this course. Okay, and if you think, but I don't even have a budget, then that's probably why your finances are messy, which is probably why you need to be at the course. Okay, so it is a brilliant course and really helpful. Other training and equipping. Some of the stuff, as I've just mentioned, will happen within the life group, but not everything will happen within the life group. Sometimes we're going to come together for a weekend and have something on the Friday, Saturday, and then the Sunday morning. So there'll be at least one in each semester. We're going to have a marriage course in the first semester and a parenting course in the second semester, because biblically, normally marriage should precede parenting. All right. The wonderful thing is that whether it's finance, marriage, or parenting, it'll all be very practical. And then, while we're talking about training and equipping, we want to see, we checked with the leaders, but we'd also like to hear from you. Is there anyone here that would like to receive some training, equipping, releasing in the area of preaching? Please raise your hand and wave it aggressively. Not aggressively, as in just wonderful. We've got one taker. Excellent. So for that we would like to. We'll probably do that over a Zoom type of thing. In that way, we can get other guys in from all over the country and perhaps even internationally to Zoom in and present some slots again over about probably 4 to 6 weeks. And that's so. Thank you for that. And then it sounds like we're going to do a lot of learning. That sounds like quite a curriculum. So by this stage in my notes, I thought, it's time for a break. Let's have some fun. So we definitely need to focus on more fun this year. All right. Yeah. Thank you, Mom. So you'll remember last year, one of the things that we did was a bingo evening. That was a lot of fun. And so we'd like to do perhaps something like that again. But we also would like to do some stuff where we can involve and include the children. And we'd also like to do some stuff that's outside of the venue. But while we're talking about the venue and inside the venue, I think it'd be great to have, once we did a movie night with the parents and children. And so we want to use all of our training stuff and all of our fun events and so on as methods to combine, as we've mentioned, and to bring the two streams together, bring the school and the church closer and closer together. So a wonderful, fun evening of watching a movie together in your PJs with popcorn. Sounds like fun. And something else that's possibly or probably on the cards would be a Liberty Amazing Race again. We haven't. Who's done the Amazing Race with us before? Of those with your hands up, only like 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, wonderful. Please keep up your hands. Which of those did not receive a speeding fine during the Amazing Race? Not. Okay, so all of you did. Okay. There we go. That's just to confirm. It's a lot of fun. I know I'm pushed for time. I shouldn't. Okay. I've got a great story for you. Chat to me over coffee. So, on that, who would like to be part of the fun team? We need a team that's going to put together, okay, so we've got some people with some life in them. We've got more people with life in them. Okay, so just look around. Fleur, you're probably going to be putting this thing together. Was that your hand? Or I thought you were, oh, Jacques falling off his chair in excitement. So you need to look around and put together this incredibly fun team, which your husband will head up. It's Captain of Fun. Can already see him snapping on that underpants over his jeans. Captain Fun. All right, on that fun note, we need to, sometimes we just roll on with the year and with things that are happening during the year, and we don't stop to just clarify. And so for a couple of years, actually, we have, the leadership structure of Liberty was basically elders, leaders, and the leaders group, and then the rest of us. But the leaders group was a bit slightly nebulous. We didn't specifically mention who our deacons are. And so we just felt to do that, bring a bit slightly more clarity. It's obviously biblical. As you've seen in Acts chapter 6, the first deacons being appointed, and then later on, Paul speaks of, this is the criteria for deacons in 1 Timothy 3 and Titus chapter 1. And also when he writes to the church in Philippi, he starts off his letter by saying to the church, the deacons, and the elders in Philippi. So he mentions those three, let's call it functions within the local church. I don't want to call it titles, but okay. So at the moment, these are our deacons that we want to just mention at the moment, and we'll also, during the second half of the year, when we get to, this is the first kickoff for the year, our envisioning time, and then we have Breakfast Sunday, probably the first or second Sunday in July, our revisioning time. At that stage, we will be releasing more deacons. And so just a couple of those for the moment. You guys can also stand as I mention your name. Molly Ann is standing. She is standing. Merve Namora. Fransjo and Carla. Fransjo is also standing. Yosha is part of the evening service, so he's not here. And Fleur. Thank you, guys. And then we'll, as I said, release a second, I don't want to call it a second batch, but a second group or a second tier during our midweek or mid-year. The evening service. We are making great progress here. The evening service. As I mentioned, we would like to add more numbers, to see more life and numbers in the evening service, and to add some more momentum. So in doing that, we're obviously hoping for growth, external growth to come in, and invitations and salvations, etc. But we also want to put it out there that we would like to ask some of you to move across from the morning to the evening service, which means that you will no longer be attending the morning service when you move across to the evening service. However, if you really love it, you can do both. It's some people do both morning and evening services, and it's lots of fun. But for you to really add your momentum and add your weight and your commitment to the evening service, we would love for you to move across and then not try and pendulum between the two. Can we ask that you will chat to Sean and Deanie regarding joining the evening service, and if there's any questions regarding joining the evening service? Can I be as bold as to ask now if there's anybody that's considering the evening service as an alternative to the morning, so that Sean and Deanie can look out for you and make sure that they can connect with you? You're scratching your head there, James, or shall I put your name down? Okay, Gavin Alley? Okay, that'll be great. But the more the merrier. Okay. And then obviously as a local church, the interesting thing about a church, any church, should be that it's the only group of people that exists primarily for its non-members. So give that some thought. As a church, we're in existence, we should be, primarily, not secondary, for our non-members, those that are out there. And so we should always be looking outward. We should always find new, innovative, and strategic ways to reach our community, our local community, our national and international community. And so we will, during this year, we will keep uplifting and blessing and equipping our local community via soul ministries. And so can we ask Mervyn and Maura, and then I know Fransha and Annette is going to join them, Alette. So why don't you come and give us some feedback as to what's been happening during the soul ministry this year?